Welcome to your latest Nottingham Forest news. Coming up on today's episode, the striker talk starts to heat up as Forest put in another bid. Bove set to reject Forest for a loan option. Morgan Gibbs-White gets his call up, and I'll give you my thoughts on the Newcastle game yesterday. All this and plenty more coming up today on your latest Forest news. Let's get into it. Good morning, good evening, or good night. Hope you guys are doing well, and welcome to your latest Forest news. There's a lot of transfer news to update you on, as panic stations are probably starting to set in with Forest and bids are flying in. If you're enjoying the content, please don't forget to hit that like button. Subscribe to Forest Fan TV if you are new. Don't forget to grab your tickets for this signed Forest shirt by the whole squad. But more importantly than that, when you buy a ticket, it gives you a random number. If that random number is 100, 200 or 225, you're going to win the new home kit or the new away kit or the new third kit, saving yourself a bucket load of money. Go scan this QR code, or you can click on the link that's pinned in the comments. Okay, let's bring you up to speed with the striker news. And a whiff of panic is starting to set in with Forest, but I don't think it's bad panic, because the players they are looking for are decent. But the panic is obviously the clock is ticking. And Nuno alluded to this in his presser, talking about, let's not panic, we need to get the right person, not the wrong person, or for the sake of getting a person. And this one, with Omar Marmoush, is starting to gather some heat. So Forest have now put in a third bid for him. Yes, you heard me right. We're already on to bid number 3. It's for about 20 to 25 million pounds. Remember, Forest was starting at the 18 to 20 million. Sorry, that's euros, not pounds. So that's gone in. Now, the talk is, and I'll believe it when I see it, that Omar is interested in coming to the Premier League. So the expectation is that he won't be too hard to persuade. We've heard that one before. Honestly, it's getting to the stage now where I'll believe it when I see him in the shirt. That old cliche. And it's starting to feel like that right now. So that bid has come in. However, Frankfurt want to keep him because they find him to be a versatile striker. 25, he's coming into his prime, having scored 17 goals last season. But not only that, as I was saying to you yesterday, he can play not just as a striker, but as a winger. Look, don't take this the wrong way, okay? And I didn't want to say this on yesterday's video, but screw it. I really want him. And just to give you guys like a little more on him, he reminds me a bit of Henry. Not as good as Henry, don't misquote me on this. I'm saying in terms of his style and the way that he can position himself. Remember how Henry at Monaco was like a left winger converted into a left inside forward at Arsenal? This is what we're talking about with Omar Marmoush, man. He can really do this. And he can play as the clean, straight up number 9. But Frankfurt have used him all over the place. In recent games, he's played as cam, he's played as left winger, he's played as striker. Now, some will argue we just need an out-and-out 9, a fox in the box, someone who's just going to goal hang and put the ball in the back of the net. I agree with you, but I think he can do it. And I'm getting hyped up about this one because I think he's got the qualities we need. And Forest seem to agree with me. So the third bid has gone in. Now, Frankfurt probably want to push this to about 30 mil, if you believe the reports that are coming out. And that's in euros. So we're talking, what, 26, 27 million pounds. This would still be cheaper than the likes of the name that shall not be mentioned and Eddie Nketiah. And I think it carries less risk than both those players because he's a proven goal scorer in what I think is a damn good league in the Bundesliga. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. I'm not going to hype him up much more because then you lot will blame me if he comes and he's a flop, which he won't be. You know, I was right about everyone else. I'll be right about this one as well. But I want this one done. A couple of you asking about Visser. What's the latest on him? Well, the signs are that Brentford are not willing to sell at all. They want to keep him. Forest haven't really chased that one up. There's been no reports on a new bid or a new approach from Forest. That one looks like it's gone quiet. We offered a cheeky 15 million for him. Brentford looked at that 15 million and thought that's probably worth more than our whole stadium and decided not to accept it. So that one looks like it's quiet and the full focus now is on Omar Marmoush. So we'll keep you posted. But how are you guys feeling about him now? Is the hype building? Or like me, do you want to wait to see the shirt being held up? Alrighty then, let's move on and talk about the other player that's linked. And this was slight negative news on him, but hey, don't shoot the messenger. So Bove, the midfielder from Roma, where Forest had put a bid in for in and around 10 million euros. And that's the asking price Roma wanted. Remember, this is a player that's been told there's no room for him at the inn anymore at Roma, and he's better off going elsewhere. So the fees and stuff were very close to being agreed. But Bove is a die-hard Roma fan, born and bred and raised in Roma, and he's not quite ready to let go. But he would have been willing to move to Forest. However, Frankfurt step in, and that's obviously the team we're getting Omar Marmoush from, or we're negotiating for, and they've come to somewhat of his rescue. And what do I mean by that? They've offered a loan deal for him, and they're looking for an option to buy, not an obligation. And he sees this as a carrot being dangled in front of him. That if he can go to Frankfurt, if he can prove himself in that team, maybe outlast the manager that's told him to do one at Roma, then he still has the small whiff of the scent that he could get back and playing for his, boyhood club where he's grown up next season. So that's a more appealing opportunity to him. Now, you could technically say Forest could offer the same deal, saying, all right, we'll loan you out for a year. But I'm just starting to think now, is that the attitude of the player we want? I don't know. He could come in motivated, though, when you look at it from a certain aspect and thinking to himself, I have to perform to show that I am good enough to go back to Roma. But even that wouldn't be a satisfactory conclusion. Because as the old saying goes, never fall in love with a loanee. Guilty as charged. I've done it a few times myself, and Spence and Lodi, etc. But could you imagine if he comes with that determination, that desire to play, blows the Premier League aside, and then at the end of the season, he's like, I want to go back home. So is it better to have loved and lost, or never to have loved at all? Let me know what you think on this one in the comments down below. But as things stand, it looks like he's set to reject Forest for that carrot that's been dangled by Frankfurt. Get your thoughts in. Okay, a massive congratulations to my boy Morgan Gibbs-White, who has been called up to the full England squad and becomes technically the first Forest player since back in the Pearson Stone days to make it into the England team. Okay, you could say Dean Henderson got in the team, but obviously he was a loanee at the time from Manchester United. And I'm sure right now, Morgan Gibbs-White is feeling a lot of pride, and quite rightly so. This is well deserved. He's been working really hard and he's got his call up. So I'm very proud of him. I'm sure you guys are too. But let's talk about it from a business perspective here, because there are some knock-on impacts to this. Firstly, it has shown Morgan Gibbs-White that he can make it into the England team, even at Forest, who aren't a Cartel 6 team. Now, that's one good thing. So any doubts he may have had towards the end of the season when Southgate decided to snub him, those could be put to one side. So I see that as a positive. Now, on the flip side, on the money side of things, being called up to a big international team, no doubt adds a few extra zeros onto your price tag. So when it comes to Forest now and Morgan Gibbs-White's valuation, that should actually start to rise just from a call-up, which is a positive. So I see everything about this as a positive. And on top of that, I see this as a positive in terms of his confidence going forward. He knows now he's sitting at the big boys table. There's no more under 17s or 21s and all the other ones he's been through. He's at the big boys table. He's going to want to pounce on his opportunity, which will give us a more confident and a more determined Morgan Gibbs-White. So everything about this for me is 100% positive, but also it just feels like so long since we've seen some Forest players in the England team. So how do you guys feel about this? Get some nice messages in for Morgan down below. But well done to you, Morgan. Much, much deserved. Alright, so I want to touch on the game yesterday as Forest drew with Newcastle, and penalties don't count unless it's a playoff, of course, so Forest is still undefeated. But there were some fantastic performances there. I don't actually feel that dejected. Well, I kind of do, because I didn't care about the cup, then the performance made me care about the cup, then the penalties got me excited, then we were winning in the penalties, and then Sangare and Taiwo step up. And then you remember what it's like to be a Forest fan. But anyway, apart from that, the rest of it was really good. I thought everyone who made a debut yesterday was fantastic. Initially, I had Miguel down at fault for the goal, but looking back at it, it was actually a decent save. Alright, he shouldn't have parried it into the path of the Newcastle attacker. But where was the Forest defence? They were still in the tunnel, or still singing Mull Kintyre. It was just like, if the game only kicked off 1 minute later. But Miguel, man, the biggest thing I noticed about him was when corners are taken, he doesn't even have to jump, and he forced Newcastle to play it wider. He could solve our corner issue single-handedly because of his height. But anyway, we'll talk more about him tonight on the forum. I want to touch on Taiwo and the striker situation here. I've seen Taiwo getting a lot of heat on social media. Some are giving him a lot of heat. I didn't think he had a good performance. He still doesn't look 100% to me. I've always said he can't control a ball. He's Bambi on ice and what have you. But I think it's getting to the stage now where we definitely need another striker. Come on, Omar, the Egyptian Pharaoh King. Make it happen. But look, I don't think it's fair to go overboard on Taiwo. As I always say here, you can say what you want. It's your opinion, just keep it respectful, etc. But I just don't think it's too fair. He's not been sharp. He's not played in a string of games or anything like that. I'm probably going to get pelters in the comments, but I still think there is a player in there somewhere if he can just stay fit. But I will contradict that by saying, if I could get or if Forest could cash in, should I say, for him, I'd be willing to sell right now. But we'll definitely need to get a striker first. So, yes, criticize his performance, but let's not take it overboard. Let's understand the scenario, where he's come from, how he's been injured, etc. But that penalty, man, I don't know if the ball's landed in the Trent yet. That was one of the worst I've ever seen. It is what it is. We move on, focus on the league, as they say. But I want to point out a couple of performances. Everyone's talking about Jota, and rightly so. But not as much talking about Alex Moreno. I thought he had a sensational game. He's a player that I told you guys I rate highly, but I don't like the attitude that surrounded the way he joined Nottingham Forest. But he's here now, and he showed me a good attitude yesterday on the pitch. In fact, his attitude and performance was so good, I think he needs to start against Wolves. He was delivering some sensational crosses into the box. We just didn't have the bodies in there to put it away. And I want to see more of him. You could see his class. You could see he was just a slight cut above. And I like that. So hopefully he's settled in. Hopefully he's ripped and burnt up that letter he sent to the Betis fans. And we can get past it. I certainly can now if he continues to perform like that. On the other side, on Eric Da Silva, we told you guys this in the summer when we signed him. The potential is like limitless. He looks quality. In fact, I'd be tempted to have a look at him for Wolves. Probably put Einar there. I mean, we'll do a Wolves preview shortly. We've got Dazzling Dave for you guys tomorrow. But what a performance from him. And Sosa and Jota. I mean, if there was any thoughts of sending Jota to Olympiacos, my God, that ship literally better have already sailed. He was absolute quality. And that's the kind of player we need on the right wing. And that's why and I've said all along, would have him in ahead of Elanga. Sosa started well, faded off. Probably one of the best crosses I've seen in ages from a dead ball situation. How we didn't score, I don't know. It was like a Scarpa moment against Southampton a couple of seasons ago. But look, overall, I'm not too dissatisfied. I thought the performance was excellent. This was literally our second string team against nearly a fully strengthened Newcastle team. And it just says to me, and this is the point I'm getting to in a long-winded way, it just says to me, if we can get a striker, this squad looks tasty, and Forest will turn a few heads this season. What do you guys think? Do you feel More optimistic or less after yesterday's performance and getting a real good look at the depth of our squad? Let me know in the comments down below. That brings you up to date with your current Forest news. We're back at 8 PM for the Forest Forum with some fresh new guests on there. So make sure you do join us. The topics are going to be intriguing to say the least. If you haven't already, please don't forget to hit that like button. Subscribe to Forest Fan TV if you are new, and we'll see you on the forum. Come on, you Reds.